All right, welcome to biology. I'm Mr. Ruska. I'll be your child's biology teacher for the first trimester of this year and potentially for the full year. Biology is a course that must be passed to graduate. It is a state required course. I've been teaching biology here at Osseo Senior High School for the last 13 years. I was a graduate of the University of Minnesota. I did my student teaching here at Osseo Senior High School with Mr. Rosh. For those of you who have been at Osseo before, Mr. Rosh was a biology teacher here up until about 3 years ago when he retired. The course itself is tied to a whole bunch of state standards. The state standards, in my opinion, are the most rigorous in the nation. Topics we will cover for this year, and especially for first trimester, will be things like the characteristics of life, the scientific method, ecology, which includes food chains and webs, energy flow through natural systems, populations, and cells. And that will be pretty much our trimester 1 topics. Trimester 2 and 3 will seem like they have a lot less topics they'll be covering, but they are really long and standard-filled topics. That would include things like DNA, which would lead us to genetics and protein synthesis, the topic of evolution, and then we wrap up the year talking about human body systems. So those are the topics that we'll cover over the course of the year. Again, the first trimester ones were the first ones that we listed. Now, because biology gets a little complicated as the year wears on, your student may or may not need help, but there's resources for them to find help or make up assignments. One is my webpage. My webpage is mruska.pbworks.com. You will see that's different than a web page. It looks more like a wiki page, a creation page. So you'll find things on the main page. You'll find links on the right-hand side along the sidebar. That'll take you to specific places to find specific help. On my web page is also a link to my YouTube. My YouTube channel, it houses the lectures that we'll have in class. So if your student has missed a lecture that they might need to see or hear, that will be on there, as well as other videos that may help learn some very complicated material. New this year, I'm going to try to use my Twitter. Twitter is a great way to communicate. It allows you to receive class updates via your text messaging. I welcome any parents or students to follow me at OSH Ruska. We will try to also incorporate this in class, try to make class a little bit more interactive. That's something that will be new this year and will be covered as we go along. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of technology out there as resources. In my classroom, I allow students to bring and use technology. So that could be, their iPhone or their iPod Touch, or maybe a smartphone or a cell phone for that matter. Maybe it's your iPad or another tablet. In either case, it's allowed to have use in my classroom. It could be a laptop or a netbook or any of those computing devices, whether you're using it to take notes or using it to view the videos that we use in class. Perhaps we're doing some online searches. Those are the things that we can use technology in the classroom for, as long as it's classroom appropriate. Obviously, school rules would apply to things like texting in class and making calls in class. But the use of technology in the classroom for things like class projects or use of the interactive use using Twitter or that case is definitely going to be allowed in the class and encouraged. However, there is some responsibility and some risk that's associated with bringing your own device to class, and that will fall squarely back on the student themselves. If you bring it to class, you will take responsibility for that device, and if it gets damaged or stolen, that will be one of the risks you will take. Some rules and expectations I have. I think I keep it pretty simple. One, we just want all students to be on time. That is a school rule, and that's expected here at Osseo Senior High School. That there's nothing in class that we will do that is going to kill anybody or hurt anybody. So I always say, try everything and do everything. And if we do that, you're going to get something out of it, something positive out of it. And if you can stay and have a good positive attitude, you're going to be fine. You'll treat each other like you want to be treated. I call that respect, as well as your teacher. We are using science lab notebooks in class. Many of you have seen and heard because your students have gone home and said we need a notebook for class, a composition notebook, and you should be seeing these brought home on a daily basis. So if you're asking them how's class going, please take a look at their science lab notebook. I think it's going to be a cool creation in the end. It is a good study tool, and it's good to have them get used to taking it home, looking through it, doing some study stuff on there. We will be going over some study strategies over the course of the year, and hopefully they'll be using them at home with those science lab notebooks. I asked them to be prepared with their materials. One's going to be their lab notebook, pens, pencils, color pencils, calculator. A highlighter is very, very handy and probably required for this course. I also have them be prepared that you're putting in the right amount of studying time. I always say about between 10 and 20 minutes every night, 7 days a week for biology. It doesn't seem like a lot, but a little bit every night is much better than trying to cram and try to pass an assessment at the last minute. And I asked them to behave appropriately, and behaving appropriately I think ties back into respect. Grading. Grading in biology is done with things we call learning targets. We have broken down the year of biology into specific targets that are going to be linked to our standards. These targets will all be individually assessed, which makes our course 100% summative. You will see zero formative part of your grade. It is done on the 0 to 4 scale as dictated by our school district. The big thing is that we're asking students to study and prepare for their first attempt at every assessment. The district says that we will only provide one attempt to retest, which is your multiple opportunity to pass a learning target. So we're saying study and prepare for the first attempt. Do not go in thinking you would need a second attempt, because only one retest per target is allowed. And I know that's off the screen, but only one retest per target is allowed, and we'll have days built into the school day for that. That's all I really have to share with you. On the screen, you'll be able to see my contact information. I'm Mr. Ruska. The best way to contact me will be via email. You can see that on the screen, ruska@district279.org. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can, or you can try to call me or leave a voice message for me at the number of the school, and my extension is 32204. I hope you have a good rest of the night, and if you have any questions about the school year, please contact me. Otherwise, I'm excited for the school year. We have a great group of kids, and the learning began from day one, and so far, so good. Thank you, and have a great evening.